Hello, beautiful YouTubers. Thank you for joining me. I'm Martha Arnett, and I am a transformational life coach, psychotherapist, and intuitive for 30 years at this point. And I am here today to talk about big life transitions. I'm going to give you a quick overview around a really cliff note version of transitions during bigger life transitions, which would be the loss of a job, switching careers, having a baby, empty nesters, divorce, stepping into a relationship. Things that you either are excited about sometimes you're not excited about. Could be the death of a loved one, so something really traumatic. Any of these big life transitions, I just want to give you three things to expect. There's three, if you break it down really simply. There's more, but if you break it down really simply, there's three. Three stages that you can sort of anticipate and sort of identify what you're in. And sometimes it's helpful to have those stages in mind so you can say, okay, this is typical or normal, this is typical, this is typical. Okay, I'm moving through, I'm processing this in a healthy way. So, stage number one, it's called clinically separation. So separation from what was to beginning to think about what is. So let's use the example of empty nesters. So the example would be, I've been a parent to children that are in my home, to all of a sudden I'm becoming a more distant parent. I'm a parent who's parenting a child or children who are outside of the home. It's a very different type of relationship, a very different type of parental expectations, different types of support, different types of things like that. So big change, right? So first stage, separation. You're beginning to shift from what was, who you were, beginning to think about what was. And it's sometimes for folks, especially if it's feels like a loss, there can be a lot of pain, there can be a lot of resistance, there can be a lot of, I think resistance is the best word, not wanting to shift into this new phase. So when we have resistance in something emotional, that can bring up in us frustration, it can bring up anger, it can bring up a lot of different emotions that we then are being asked to process. So then what happens is we step into phase two, which is called, clinically again, threshold. The threshold is, I also call it, this is the, if you can be patient in the gray zone. It's this space of you're not where you were and it's not where you're going, right? So you're sitting in this gray sort of floaty space around not being who you were, where you were, or you're not where you want to be yet. You're not how you want to feel yet. So it could be, I still have, am I gonna like, let's say now we'll shift it to a new job or a new career. Did I make the right choice by leaving my career I was in for 20 years and now stepping into something totally new? Or even if it's not new, stepping into a new job, will I like the choice that I make? Do I, will the commute be okay? How will I feel in this new space? You're sitting in this space of unknown, of uncertainty. And again, we can imagine what kind of feelings that would bring up. That could bring up anxiety, right? Did I make the right choice? All of these, there's so many emotions that come up in each of these three different categories. So it's just helpful to be aware. So this middle zone, not where you were, not where you're going to end up during this time of transition. And then the third phase is integration. I call it integration. There's another name for it, but I like to call it integration. It's when you've taken all of the things from the first two steps, those feelings and the processing you did in the first step, the sitting with the unknown, the anxiety, the fear possibly in the second step, and you're integrating it all into who you are now as you become fully more grounded and present, available, and a bit more certain about what the experience of this new transition is like. And again, I want to say there's no timeline. It's not like for 2 weeks you'll do this, 2 weeks you'll do this, 2 weeks you'll do this. It's not like that. For each person, it's different. For each transition, it's different, right? Like I have moved a ton in the course of my life. When I was 33 years old, I had moved 38 times. I moved every 3 years as a kid, and I had to learn this process over and over and over again. It's pretty cool now that I have words for what I went through each time. I certainly didn't back then, but I do now. And I think it would have been helpful for me had I known these feelings would be normal and something to expect. And then this phase, and then this phase. So I hope this is helpful. I'll make some future videos around things that you can help yourself move through each stage a bit more clearly, with a bit more intention and a bit more groundedness, so that you can feel a bit better as you move through each stage. So that is my hope, and I am sending you so much love and support as you begin, or if you're in the middle of your transition journey, and I am rooting for you all the way. So many, many blessings, and take good care.